What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with the latest episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. We've got a killer guest back with us today, Lee Barrison. I think he's on his third appearance. We're talking about how to be better, hustling to be better, and not just to do more. So this is going to be a really fun episode. We've got a lot to get to. We'll talk about leadership. We'll talk about growing teams. We'll talk about hustling and hustling the right way, all kinds of fun stuff. Gene Volpe, the evil bald ninja, is with us as well. But first, before we get to those guys, my partner in all things crime and podcasting related, Greg McDaniel, in the co-pilot seat. What's up today?
What up, man? Good to be here. It's a beautiful Friday morning out here. Coming hot off of a listing appointment I went out on from doing my calls with RedX. Took down a $3 million listing in 7 minutes after sitting down. Walked out the front door in 10, and I led with value add. I offered to do some video work for him and his other business. It's a dog kennel next door, and how to promote him and give him some more visibility. And I showed him some of my past work that Viral did for me, editing up some stuff on Viral. Dude literally locked it down a few minutes after that and walked out. We're sending over the listing agreement today. Booyah. It's just from hard work and hustle. And that's one of the things that you guys, if you guys aren't watching this right now, we got Lee, and in the background behind Lee, he has a giant sign that says hustle. And I think that's can be taken in multiple different ways, but it's going to be a great show. So I'm happy to have you back, my friend. Lee, welcome to the show, brother. Let's talk about growth. But first, before we do that, we got to do Gene Volpe, the evil bald ninja, the marketer from another mother. What's up, man?
The marketer from another mother.
That's not bad, actually.
So I don't know if did you see my sign behind us? It says hustle. Mine says pizza. What says about me?
Hustle pizza.
That's right. It's a very personal statement of loyalty. Yeah. All right. So first of all, what's up, Gene? I think that might be your new nickname, marketer from another mother. Love it. And then Lee, officially welcome, man. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get to, but before we dive into kind of like the journey of how you got to here, give us a snapshot of physically where you're located, what the team looks like, how many agents, stuff like that, and maybe what you're on pace to do as we close out 2019.
Sure. So, Matt, Greg, Gene, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it being here again. Bakersfield, California, Central Valley, about 2 hours north of Los Angeles. Got a small Indi brokerage that we run here called the Infinity Real Estate Services. I apologize. But yeah, we currently are at 39 agents, and per agent production, we're averaging about 16.3 transactions per agent this year within our group of 39 agents. We are on track to hit anywhere between 450, perhaps to 470 transactions this year. Last year, we closed out at 286, and we ended the year last year at 25 agents.
Gotcha.
Okay. Wow.
So growth up and down all around is where you're going with this stuff, and kind of what we're talking about off air is the fact that you went high, then you whittled down low, and then you're regrowing the correct way. A lot of agents in this industry, what I've found is, in probably in every business across the board, they want to get as many agents as possible. What you do is you acquire a lot of dead wood in there. You got to manage dead wood. Is that where you kind of experienced, right?
Absolutely, Greg. I mean, so like we were talking off air before this podcast began, but when we opened up our office 2.5 years ago, my only intention was to build this mega office with just people that have heartbeats. I don't give a shit if they're producing or not, but I'm just trying to build up the agent count, not paying attention to the production.
Right.
And so it's a huge problem. There's a lot of companies out there, these huge giant offices within any town or borough across the United States, and that's all they focus on, hoping that perhaps John might do one deal. It may be his own house. It may be a short sale, it may be overpriced, but at least we get that one transaction out of John before he expires, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so, again, my mindset wasn't in the right place in the beginning because, again, I wasn't focusing on the per agent production. I was just focusing on putting bodies and dead wood adding dead wood to my office. And last year we got to 49 agents. And then at that particular time, when we hit 49 agents, mind you, 2 years ago we started with 2. So we got up to about 49 agents in 1 year. And then I started looking at the per agent production, and we're at about 4.5 deals per agent. And that was really frustrating at that point because, something clicked in my head where I just said, you know what, this is bullshit. I mean, we have so many unproductive people and so little productive people. Why don't we wind down the clock and just start slashing people and giving them 30-day notices? And if they're willing to jump on board and do what we teach them to do, then they can stay. But if they don't, then they're welcome to leave. Well, in the matter of 3 different waves, which took anywhere between, I would say, about 3 to 4 months of 30-day notices and 90-day notices, we wound up getting rid of 25 agents.
Wow. And
that brought our per agent production back up to where it's now at 16.3. So,
How did people take that when you started slashing them, and just cutting them wood? I'm like, hey man, you ain't cutting the mustard, homie. You got to go. I mean, were people butthurt about it? Were they frustrated? Were they upset? Did they own their mess up? How did that go over? Because a lot of people are afraid of firing or eliminating agents because you work so freaking hard to get people into their brokerage, and then you're like, you're not doing it. You got to go. I mean, how did that conversation go?
That's a good question. At the beginning for me internally, it sucked because I had the same mentality. I don't want to get rid of anybody that I allowed to jump on board in the first place. But, over time and over being trained and coached by some good management coaches, they instilled some good values and standards within my business to where, because if you really look at the majority of our industry, a lot of our industry doesn't have any standards within their brokerages. I mean, if you don't show up for a month, it's okay. If you don't sell anything for a month, it's okay. And because of the training and the coaching that I think I received, it dawned on me that, oh shit, I got to have standards, right? And so that's what we implemented. We implemented standards such as you have to show up. You don't have to show up 6 days a week, but we definitely want to see your face at least twice or 3 times a week in the office with your headset on prospecting. We want to see we want to start tracking your numbers. We want to start tracking your production. We want to, start having, more training sessions, and you need to be available during those training sessions. And these are the standards that we started implementing. So when we did, and people weren't showing up, that's when we started doing these or implementing these 30-day notices. And to answer your question, Greg, these a lot of the agents, there was a response in a lot of different areas, right? So some agents, I would say perhaps maybe a third of them took ownership of what they weren't doing, and then I would say half of that third said, okay, I'm going to start showing up and plugging in because I don't want to leave. So I want to keep those people, right? Because they showed the effort to jump back on board or recommit to the system. I would say a third of them never even responded to the 30-day notice.
They just kind of drifted away, like the wood in the ocean, just floated away.
Maybe if I just don't say anything, he'll forget about it.
That's not how that works.
And then obviously, those were relatively easy agents to get rid of. And then, there was a third that, had a rebuttal to it and felt that they were worthy to stay. And, I being that I don't like getting rid of people, I tell them, don't tell me, show me. If you think that you're worthy to stay, then I'll give you an extra 30 days starting today, But at least they responded, which was more important than anything else, because that third that doesn't respond, obviously, they weren't designed to be here in the beginning.
Right. That's interesting. So definitely you've got the conversational side of it. You've got the discomfort of having those types of conversations. I want to talk a little bit about maybe the leadership and ego challenge of it, because obviously we're in a numbers driven industry, and you can define yourself on a lot of different numbers, and what number you choose to define yourself on will affect all the way up and down the line, like how you choose to operate and grow your business. So I'm curious, first of all, it sounds like there was a change in how you defined success and what number you decided to attach success to. So first of all, what was that like, and why did you change the number that defined whether you were successful?
Whew, Matt, that's such a great question. So I started looking at the NAR statistics, right? And the NAR statistics showed that the average agent closes 4.5 transactions per agent or per year.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started looking at that number, I mean, in Bakersfield alone, at 4.5 transactions, Greg, we can't survive off $5,000 commission, right?
Yeah.
So that's an average.
That's a part-time job. That's less than a McDonald's manager in Bakersfield.
You're making more money at McDonald's, 100%. Yep. So, so being that the average agent in the United States only closes 4.5 transactions per year, that number really stood out to me versus, I have 300 agents in my office, right, and we're all producing at, 4.5 transactions per agent. That number didn't impress me nearly as much as the number of here's another statistic is that Greg Harrelson, that very well, all of us know very well, his office, I believe last time I met with him at the management retreat in San Diego, he said he was averaging 28 units per agent in his office or something crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm assuming that means like the core team within the overall brokerage, because he's got multiple offices and he's bringing on a couple of like new offices, and like I don't think any of those numbers factor in. But yeah, for like the team that internally reports directly to his, I think that he would consider quote unquote his team within his brokerage. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. That's only what is that? 2 to 3 deals between 2 and 3 deals per month. Like if you're in Greg Harrelson's world and you roll into an office where Greg Harrelson shows up every day and you do less than 2 or 3 deals a month, like something is wrong with you. You're not spending enough time with Greg Harrelson. Can you imagine showing up to an office every day with that guy and not selling 2 homes a month?
You're not going to last long. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, so it's that number that you're talking about. It's that number that I decided to attach my psyche to, because of the fact that, I'm much more proud of having a high per agent production number versus having the most agents in town in my building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's kind of the lesson that I wanted to draw out a little bit, because it's like this applies. I don't care what your measure of success is. Like we could be having a conversation about billionaires sitting in a room, and if one person defines their success by the number of Super Bowls that the team they own wins, and the other defines his success in terms of how many oil fields he dominates in Saudi Arabia, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't, like it works. Like you get 2 guys in a room together and they're going to figure out some sort of pecking order between the 2 of them and who's winning in what area. And you have to decide for yourself internally, what is the game that you're playing? And I love the fact that you basically decided, like, hey, look, everybody in the Indi brokerage game is kind of playing this game of either overall production, like just to get the biggest number possible, or they're flat out playing an agent number game. I'm not going to play that game. I'm just going to play a different game. And if you're listening to this and you're an agent and you're wondering, well, how does this apply to me? I'm not a broker. Here's how it applies. While your other people in the office are judging their success based on either how hard they feel like they're trying, or the market, or maybe they're successful, but they judge themselves by how high their production is, you can play another game. You can play your game based on how often you keep in touch with the key people in your database. You can judge it based on the number of deals that you do, the number of prospecting calls that you make. Like you choose the game that you're playing, and you choose what your ego attaches to and tells you whether you're doing a good job or not. Like you're the one that sets the rules of that game.
100%. Yeah. You just have to decide what that number looks like for you. I think that, you hit it right on the head, that it's your ego is going to tell you what number is most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I think it's a good bragging point too. It's something that I actually brag about and be proud of. I can talk to a broker that's, his ego's telling me, hey, look, I got 300 agents in my office. Good. What's your per agent production? Oh, it's like 4. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, sounds like you got a lot of dead wood in your backyard. You know what I mean?
Stacking agents up like cordwood. Yeah, I love it. Gene, let's go to you real quick. Like because I want to talk about this just real briefly, and then we'll get back into some other stuff about kind of shrinking to grow and hustling to be better. I'm curious, like from your perspective, talking about like the ego, what game are you playing? What do you feel like your ego kind of attaches itself to keep track of whether you're doing a good job in your business? Because you're a little bit outside, like you're in the marketing arena, and marketing agency owners don't compete with each other in the same way.
Yeah. So wait, ask me that question again. As far as goes,
what's the number? Yeah, what's the number that tells you whether you're doing a good job or not? So we don't have things like, like we don't have people like you can say that we kind of go off the size of our teams a little bit, maybe the number of clients that we have, but that stuff has changed. It's always in flux. It's a little bit different from taking on a new agent where they're going to be with you for a year or two. Your clients might be there for 90 days and you get the project done, you move on. So yeah, I'm just curious from your perspective, what game are you playing, and where does, like, how do you know? How does your ego tell you, oh, I'm doing a good job because I hit this number?
Yeah, for me, I think it's pretty simple because I have two numbers. One which is what I have outgoing every month, and that's like bills from the business, bills from in the household, and then there's a spread on how much money I'm making over top of that. And in my head, just for simple numbers, let's say I have $5,000 in bills going out, and I'm bringing in $10,000 a month. That to me is a decent month because of the excess. So I have a percentage that I shoot for in profit that each month I look at, and if I don't,
right,
it's a stretch number in a lot of cases, right? So like I always try to I used to have something at Verizon. They used to call them stretch objectives, and they would say set up a stretch objective for your team members. And a lot of times they won't hit it. When they do, it's a huge win. But
right,
even when they don't hit it, they probably hit their original objective. So, like, in Lee's case, the number's 16, right? So I might say this year we're shooting for 20 on average. Well, guess what happens? You strive for that. Everybody hits 17.5. You're up from last year. Not quite where you hope to be, but you're up from the previous year. So I feel like I have a percentage over the amount of cost I spend that I know that I need to hit. And if I hit it bigger one day, it's a nicer steak than maybe the previous month.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, in terms of like one of the biggest issues for not only for real estate teams, agency owners, whatever the case is, if you're employing people, yeah, like percentage of profit, if you have a certain, like if you know what model you're running, you should know what profit percentage you're looking at and making sure that you're hitting that. So yeah, like again, it goes back to kind of Lee, your overall focus was, look, you've got a top line number. I'm going to focus on a different number. I'm going to change the game that I'm playing. I'm not going to get caught up in just competing over the top line numbers that actually at the end of the day don't put more money in your pocket.
Yeah, no doubt. And, just to piggyback on the per agent production, another reason why it's so important is that, we lost a few good agents, like really good agents that were closing anywhere between 50 to 70 transactions.
Okay.
Because I was bringing in these non-producing, low-energy, non-profitable agents because they don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of these people. Yeah. And, that's one of the that's what they told me. This is why I'm leaving. And it was very painful to see those people leave because of the fact that I invested so much time in coaching them up and getting them to where they wanted to be. But they're so competitive that they're like, dude, you're creating an arena that I don't even want to be in anymore.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, that'll drive the point home. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the overall the process that you went through, which was you start by kind of getting putting the people that shouldn't be in your world in a position where they have to make a choice, either become the right type of person or find somebody else to align with. Great. So you start that. So you go through this process of shrinking and getting down to you've got like the right people in your world. So I want to talk a little bit about how maybe that same mentality carries over into other areas, because you're definitely a hustle guy. You're a hard worker. I know the way that you lead your agents, and you're leading your agents to change and develop and adapt to have a great work ethic.
Yeah.
So how do you help them work hard at the right things and not just spin their wheels thinking they're working hard but not being effective?
Well, okay, so again, you're right. I mean, I'm just a big believer in massive hard work. That's how I was raised as a kid. My dad is a contractor, me as an iron worker before I got into real estate 18 years ago. And so when I got into real estate, I didn't know anything better than to just simply work my ass off and grind through everything, and I'm just going to beat you, period, just based off the hard work. But, I also realize after being in leadership that not everybody has that same mindset or wants that mindset, because it's not attractive to everybody, And so, like, for instance, some folks don't want to bang the phones for 2 or 3 hours. They're not conditioned to do that. Some folks don't like talking to expireds because they don't like the resistance that they give them, or for sell by owners, the resistance that they give them. So I have to identify, I guess, what the agent, number one, is motivated by, right? So, I mean, we're all in this business motivated by something. Me being a capitalist, it's money, but again, I mean, not everybody is motivated by money, which I've discovered too. Some folks are motivated by helping other people, being a philanthropist, stuff like that. That's cool, but those people their production's probably not going to be nearly as high as some of the people that I've worked with, where we can get in 2 years or less, we get them up to 50, 70 transactions. We got one guy on the team right now that hasn't even entered his second year, and he's on track to hit 72. And he's been only in the business for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, but he grinds it, and he bangs the phones, and it's just identifying what their motivation is, or what their motive is, and then if you don't like banging the phones, then let's do open houses. And get really good at them. If you don't like doing open, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gene.
No, I wanted to jump in there because you're saying some stuff that's fascinating to me, and I hope these guys don't mind it. They hate when I'm quiet, but I was a hiring manager with a Fortune 15 company for a long time, and there was always these little things that we had in place. And I'm curious, from your perspective, now that you know that you had to self-fix the agents that didn't belong there, what kind of mechanisms do you have in place, number one, to make sure that they have the hustle you want, number two, they have the proper drive and why, and number three, that they're going to fit on that team? And so I asked that question because I'm sure people are listening that would want to do the same type of thing you're doing, and I'm looking for advice on how do you cut out all the crap that you had to go through right up front? Like, maybe this isn't going to work, as opposed to waiting 6 months until you figure out it's not working.
Good question. Well, Gene, I mean, honestly, so like, for instance, the folks that you're referring to that we had to take a step back, and then they were willing to fix themselves, right? We implemented a 90-day production platform, I guess is the best way to put it, right? And so, for instance, I want everyone to be able to be comfortable on talking to people. I mean, in our business, if you're not talking to people, you're a secret agent, you have skinny kids. So, we have to learn to talk to people. And so, in order, for the first 30 days on that production format is basically in the second week of the first 30 days, they have to make 2 hours of mojo calls 5 days a week. They have to run through their entire COI that first 30 days. They have to talk to everybody in their COI one time. Then we also start creating systems to make them more efficient, to cut out the time, like you were mentioning, such as, we have a number tracking system. So, it's everything that you, like in sales, you got to have somewhere where you put all your numbers that start showing you your ratios, right? People that track their numbers, if you don't have somewhere to put those numbers after you track them, well, you're not doing yourself any justice, because you got to have somewhere to put them. So we start having them put their numbers into a number analyzer, and then that will start tracking their ratios, which really helps me coach them, because, men lie, women lie, but the numbers never, ever lie. And so if we could start pushing or, convincing the agent to put the numbers into the analyzer, then the ratios will start telling a real clear story over 60 to 90 days. Okay. The second 30 days, we get a little bit tougher. So we have them start doing 2 open houses per month, and start making 5 expired calls per day, 5 days a week, and 2 hours of mojo per day, 5 days a week. And then lastly, the third 90 days, we are talking about for sell by owners, expireds, COI, and we kind of crush it all together. I guess, best way to put it, on the last 30 days.
Let me ask you a question. Why are the number? And this is just from me because I'm a glutton for pain apparently, but I love to do the calls. I use RedX. I love RedX. I think what they're doing for me has been fantastic. I started doing for rent by owner calls, which are probably the easiest calls on God's green earth to make.
Mm-hmm.
Why only five? Why only 5 calls? And then why out circle prospecting? Why not double down on the for rent by owners, for sale by owners, expireds, pre foreclosures? Why not go after the low hanging fruit versus doing circle prospecting?
It's really just a matter of conditioning them to talk to people over anything else. So I mean, again, I won't discriminate if they want to talk to 2 hours of rent by owners.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. If you want to talk, but again, I want them talking to people they don't know for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it doesn't matter really where they come from, but circle prospecting obviously is a quick and easy way to be really efficient on the phones and get conditioned to talking to a lot of people.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been learning a lot about is the fact that, and this is a very old adage, we all know it, is that when you think you're done, you're only at 40% of what you possibly can do. I'm reading the book Living with a Seal right now, and that is a phenomenal book.
Great one.
Great book. You feel like such a fucking pussy about your workouts after you read that book. And you're like, man, I crushed it. And you read what these guys do in their workouts. You're like, I'm such a vagina. God.
Jesus. That's not how I
A valuable lesson for us all to learn. You heard it here. Greg specifically is a vagina.
I thought you were a donk, or what was it called, Matt? A donk? You were talking about
a dongle.
Oh,
a dongle.
Yeah, that's right. A mechanical attachment for a MacBook, a dongle.
I'm a giant.
Oh my
dongle.
God.
Giant dongle and a vagina at the same time.
That's where the babies come from, okay, Lee? When the dongle meets the vagina. Never. Anyway, we're totally digressing.
All right.
But for me, for prospecting, go back to Living with a Seal, and the whole thing about where I was going with that is that, a lot of people, we stop, and I'm included in that. We stop when we get a couple of no's. But in reality, let's be serious here. What is so bad about being told no? There are guys and gals that are putting their life on the line in our armed services, their police force, their first responders. They literally have people that are coming after them with machetes, trying to cut their heads off, kidnap them, kill them, hurt their loved ones. And you fucking pussy up when it comes to, I heard a no twice today. And you run and hide and cry. Are you fucking serious, dude? Go. Applicants for Walmart greeters are being, filled out daily. Go be one of them. Don't sit here and bitch at me because you got told no, you freaking wuss. You gotta have you don't have to have thick skin. You just need to have ducks feathers like a duck. When the water goes on a duck's back, it rolls right off. You've gotta let the nose roll right off of you. Otherwise, you will not last in this industry. And I want to see you succeed. Lee wants you to succeed. Matt doesn't give a fuck. Gene loves you. But it's I got a kind of a head nod from my head shake from Matt today. Not quite the nose grab, but close. And all of you guys know that I completely joke around about Matt. Loving, caring, wonderful human being. Somebody's
love you too, buddy. Love you too.
But it's true though. I think what you're doing is you're showing tough love to the people who shouldn't be in the industry, and you're encouraging the people that should be, and you're spending your time where it's best used. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that do not spend their time where it's best used. They like to be air quotes busy, but not productive.
Right.
And there's a very big difference there. And I am 1,000% guilty of being busy, not productive at times. Moving the stack of papers from the right to the left, back to the right, and whew, that was a busy day, right?
Of course, yeah. And here's the other truth about it, Greg, is that it's tough love, but the reason why it's tough love is because I care about them. Yeah. And I care about the production, and I'm never going to tell them to do something that I haven't done in my past,
Mm-hmm.
And I've never, ever, I don't know about you guys, because you guys talk to a lot of people in real estate, but I've never met an agent that doesn't talk to people that gets paid a very, very high GCI per year. Just never met them.
No, so we always joke around to the fact that I'm the junior grandmaster. My father, Terry, is the grandmaster, me Papa T Diddy, right? And talking to people. So my dad and I were at an open house, broker's tour or caravan, or whatever you guys call it, yesterday. And I was running around. I was late. My dad opened it up for me, and I got there and I'm talking to him, and this lady walks in, right? And that guy could talk to a doorknob and it would grow a mouth and talk back. He sat there and he talked to this woman. He asked her some of the most unique questions, like, what did you do for a living? And then, I bet you're wonderful about that in that industry. What was your favorite part? And I watched this woman stand up, come sit down, lean forward, and start fully engaging with him in a detailed conversation. To the point where I just had to get up and leave because I was like the third wheel. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not needed, and I left. But it's about having that conversation and getting involved in the other person's life, not having the 10,000-foot conversation about how's life. Oh, that's great. You're not really listening. It's really like, how you doing, man? Like, what's going on? Tell me, what can I do to help you? Really getting deep in there. That's when people know that you really give a shit, and those people will make millions of dollars, millions. You know, it's just having that really deep, really giving a shit conversation. I mean, I'm trying to think right now when the last time I had a good conversation like that. And it's been a while, you know. But when you have them, they're great.
It has been a while since you and I talked. I appreciate that.
It has been. You hate me.
It's. I was listening to part of the reason I bought the book that I was talking to you guys about before we went live. This Urban Meyer book called Above the Line, which I was telling you guys, it's in the prologue, is already one of the best leadership books I've read. But the reason I bought it is because I listened to Urban Meyer talk a little bit about leadership and watched some videos of him going over it with the consultant that worked with his teams and actually did built their internal leadership system for their organization. And what Urban Meyer kept harping on was trust. And that as a leader, you inspire trust by being genuinely putting that person, not in the sense that you're putting them first above your business or above the organization, but showing that you genuinely care about them as a person, not just in the context of them being a cog in the wheel that gets you what you want, right? And that like showing that level of like building genuine relationships with people and then the trust that comes out of that. He says like that's the first step. All leadership starts with the trust that you earn, and then you can inspire and motivate, and you can lead into this all this other stuff. If you don't build the trust first, none of that other stuff matters. And I think that's true at every level. That goes from whether you're leading 40 agents or whether you're leading a client through a listing presentation, right? It's all leadership. Like that. That's what's so fascinating to me about like these types of lessons that we can take in, because it's applicable at every level. You know, even just sitting across from someone in a consultation, like they're looking to you to be the leader. You know, that's my 2 cents on that.
No, it is true. I mean, in all aspects of it, in personal relationships and business relationships, people like to be led. They don't like to be told what to do, but they like to be led in a direction that they feel is right for their life in whatever circumstance you want to put it in. And I think for me, sometimes I fail at doing that. I expect people just to do it on their own just because I've done it on my own, you know, so much. Like if I have a bad day, there's no one to pick me up. I got to pick myself up and keep moving forward. And I think, Matt, I'm going to buy that book. And if you're misleading me on this book, I'm going to send you an invoice for $15. Okay. All right.
Who's going to read it for you, though?
Audible will, you jerk off.
Okay.
Jeez. Oh, man. Okay. So Lee, where can everyone get a hold of you? Because I know if you're going to send any referrals to Bakersfield or the surrounding areas, and I think it's Kern County, right?
Yes, sir.
You got to send them to Lee and his team. How do people get a hold of you, my friend?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 661-213-6857. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I am the only Lee Barrison on Facebook that I know of, so I'm pretty easy to find. IG handle, same thing, at Lee Barrison. And if you guys have any questions about the area, or if you guys have any referrals, or anybody that needs help buying or selling, or if you're a real estate agent that actually wants to produce, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you.
No slackers, only producers. Gotcha.
That's
okay.
Right.
Gene, being the ever best marketer in the world that you are, how can people get a hold of you?
Here's how good I am. I get other people to do my bidding for me. Tell them where to find me, Greg.
That'd be GeneVolpe.com.
It's good work out of you.
And why, Gene, specifically, should people reach out to you?
Yes.
Uh-oh. You want to tell them? I don't know.
God, you're horrible.
I love it. This is actually fun for me. You know what?
Oh, no.
Maybe. How about if we just leave this out there? We don't know. Why don't you call me and find out why you should call me? How about that?
Horrible.
Because that is not a clear, compelling idea. I want 2 sentences out of you. Give me 2 sentences of the most clear, compelling reason why somebody should reach out to you.
Call me because you feel the need to get exposed. How about that?
In the best possible way.
That's exactly what I'm going to write on a bathroom stall at your favorite bar. All right, for God's sake.
So bad.
Oh, my God. Greg, how do people connect with you?
Guys, I'm going to offer out a special invitation, and you guys can go to bookmcdaniel.com if you want to talk about EXP. But if you guys want to do some an hour of free coaching or something like that, or whatever else you want to bounce an idea off me with some prospecting thoughts, go ahead and text me. My cell 925-915-1978, and we can have a conversation and go from there. Matt, rating reviews of the podcast, and how do people get booked on podcasts?
They go to pursuingresults.com/training, where you learn how to craft your story hook so that you can reach out and pitch yourself on podcasts and actually get podcast hosts who say yes and are excited to have you show up and share your story. So that is at pursuingresults.com/training. We can go to Apple Podcasts on your phone. It's probably the best way to leave us a review. You can also go to iTunes on your desktop or your laptop computer. Leave us a review, give us 5 stars preferably, and then especially if you enjoyed a particular guest like Lee today, make sure to give him a shout out in the review. Let him know that you appreciate him showing up and contributing. Like, Lee is not, getting paid to be here. He's giving his very valuable time as the leader of an organization to give back. Lee, you've also got your own podcast, so like you're super busy. You got a lot going on. So yeah, for those that leave us a rating or review, make sure to thank the guest in it. So,
well, let's talk about that, Lee. What is your podcast?
Good question. It's the Be Better podcast. Just like hustle, be better. Basically, it's not necessarily real estate driven, but it's local entrepreneurs here in town that I interview, and they tell their real story about how easy it is to make a lot of money in entrepreneurship. That was a joke.
I was waiting for the shoe to drop. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just the real deal about because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur nowadays, but they don't realize all the pain and time and agony and sweat and tears that's involved in pursuing that position. So
it is not easy. They make it look sexy and fun, but it is a hustle grind. You're not out eating like fine dining in your 3-piece suit. You're usually eating, PB&J, sitting at your desk, hustling and doing calls and emails while you shovel food into your face, if you remember to eat that day, until you get it made, and then you get bored because you achieved your goal. Then you start this whole fucking meat grinding process over again on a new venture, and it's a hard road, but it's a fucking fun road too. If you really know what you're going after, you don't chase the money, you chase the end result.
Well, the money's the byproduct, I think, and just going back to like before we close, we were talking about serving others, and really engaging with somebody, caring about their situation. The deal is the byproduct, you know what I mean? Taking that listing is the byproduct of being engaged and actually genuinely wanting to help that person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The money's the byproduct,
It is. And it always will be.
Mm-hmm.
It always will be. All right, cool.
Thanks, guys.
Well, what? Don't go anywhere. Man. Damn. I know we're not that boring. Matt, what color bow do we need to put on this today?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with a lovely olive green.
Olive green bow. A green bow for green money.
All right. Line up around this episode.
All right, guys, here's an olive green bow on this episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching and sharing. Share it to all your peeps if you guys felt this was something that was value, and you better think it was a value. Lee, thank you. You're a legend, a myth among all of us men, so I appreciate your time. I love you. Matt likes you. Gene adores you. And until next time, peace out, ninjas.
Love you guys.